People were pretty upset, wishing our unborn child dies, wishing that I have a very difficult pregnancy. She hopes that the baby dies and that I develop a staph infection for everybody to see on our platform, and that I ultimately die and destroy our family, because what a perfect platform to show my bigotry and then what happened because of my vote.
What a thing to wish upon someone.
It's made me go, were we careful enough in the beginning, and are we being careful enough now?
Right.
And should we just pull them off the channel altogether?
What's more important, the paycheck that you're going to get that month for this unfortunate circumstance, or the long-term health and well-being of your own child?
I was trying a new concealer today and I just totally messed.
Ultimately, for us, it's an evaluation of like what really matters. Where do your priorities lie, and where do you draw those lines? And for us, in this case, I hope many of you will be supportive of the fact that that's the decision that we're making for ourselves. Hey there, guys. Welcome back to New Old Old Soul. Thank you once again for being here. If you've been here previously and you enjoy what we do, maybe consider giving us a subscribe, comment, like, hit the notification bell. You guys know how this works. I hate doing this every week and asking, but it's what we're supposed to do. So here we are. How are you doing, Mama? I'm
doing well. How are you doing?
I am exhausted. We've had an incredibly busy week, and it's been a week full of heightened emotions. Not only it's with everyone, it seems like, which is part of what we're going to be discussing here today, because we got a lot of pretty egregious feedback from just a few of you. And we never like to really focus and highlight these remarks and comments. But this week, the negativity was hit a new low, let's say. So we're going to briefly discuss that, dissect that, and maybe opine on exactly what it is that's going on here. And to follow that up, it's led to a lot of discussion amongst Melissa and I about how it is that we have conducted our YouTube shenanigans over the years, especially when it comes to the involvement of our own children. And that'll all make sense to you here in a second once we lay out exactly some of the feedback that we got this past week.
Yeah, so it was definitely a heated week. It's weird because we have two channels. We have this podcast channel, and then we have our family. It's not really a family channel, it's a lifestyle channel. But it's very different, and the content's very different, but the emotions brought about by this channel spew into...
Inevitably, as we knew it would.
We knew that it would, but it definitely goes into that channel. And so then we start getting stuff over there as well, which is fine. It all comes with the territory. We're thick-skinned. But this week, as you said, we definitely kind of hit a new low in that regard, especially from our ladies, our women. So
did that come as a surprise to you, the fact that it really was more female skewed?
I knew that the election was going to bring on stronger emotions with the females for obvious reasons. Look at the vote. It's very obvious that like more women voted one way than another. So, and us females get very impassioned. We get bold when we're upset, and we can be.
She said it, not me.
We can be emotionally driven, but I think we need to think about our words, because some of it was pretty ridiculous.
I want to reemphasize that I joked last week coming in here that we were going to have a net loss on subscribers. I fully anticipated that. That wasn't the case. Believe it or not, we actually had an uptick, and we had an overwhelming amount of very supportive comments coming from all of you out there. And I just want to lay that out, because I hate being drawn in and sucked into the negativity, but it's really hard to ignore, especially when, again, it is so terribly egregious.
Well, we just heard from a lot of people that said that their family relationships were destroyed over this election.
Which is so sad. That's so incredibly sad. Friends
that have been friends forever, families, and I think a lot of it is just words in anger. And so we definitely experienced that a lot. So people were pretty upset at the way that our family felt, because they felt that we were voting against women and women's rights and women's health care. And being that I am pregnant, I became the focus of their anger. I guess our unborn child became the focus of their anger. And I don't have a lot of patience for that. There were a lot of comments. A lot of people got nuked from the channel for really horrible things, like wishing our unborn child dies, wishing that I have a very difficult pregnancy, wishing that I would miscarriage in the parking lot of a hospital, and nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then nobody would come and help me because of Idaho's strict abortion bans and a lot of misinformation as far as what the abortion bans actually entail when it comes to miscarriage. I had a lot of people say, when you were voting, were you not considering your situation? Well, yes, I considered my situation very carefully. My situation is that I am currently pregnant with a very precious life that is not my own, and I choose to protect that life. And I choose to vote towards the party that I feel will better protect innocent life. And if anything, my situation has made that more abundantly clearer how important it is.
Okay, I want to just not to interrupt you. I want to lay out specifically the things that were said and targeted at you, at us collectively as a family. That really just crossed the line for us being on the receiving end of things here. Again, we're very thick-skinned. We know that it's the internet, but specifically, it was the seemingly people rooting for the subsequent death of our unborn child that Melissa is currently pregnant with. All of that goes hand in hand with so many of the things that were discussed as far as abortion goes leading up to the election, and that our two daughters also subsequently.
They are hoping that they are assaulted and become pregnant, and that way we would see the repercussions of our vote.
So clearly, these are over the top, very outlandish attempts to get under our skin. We field these comments, we discard them, we get rid of them. Obviously, the overwhelming majority of you watching don't do YouTube or social media in the same manner that we do. But this is a daily task, unfortunately for us, is filtering these comments, going through and making sure that we keep our comment section a very positive and upbeat place for the most part. That doesn't mean that we're going to take any and all criticisms and get rid of those people. You want to express your opinions, that's fine. But when you're making
like
statements regarding
threats of violence,
our children and our daughters specifically, that'll do it for me, especially.
Yeah, you're not going to get to be on there. And then they're like, what about free speech? It's like, okay, guys, there's definitely lines on our comment section. This is our comment section.
You have freedom of speech, and you said it.
Yeah.
And
it got you nuked.
Yeah, it is what it is. I always draw the comparisons to, you invite a bunch of people into your home and all of a sudden someone's being incredibly insultive and just nasty. Why would you desire to have that person remain in your home? It's kind of the way that's our philosophy when it comes to our comment section on our YouTube channels.
Yeah, it's if it's the home that you built, you don't want somebody toxic in there. You want, you're going to ask that person to leave. And the same thing applies to the channel and the platform that we have built. So yeah, some of it was pretty crazy. The craziest comments that we got were from non-Americans. And that kind of got me thinking. We had a lot of Canadian women and UK women and Australian women that are very, very confused. And their comments were angry, but I think it's based on their media's lies in those countries. So I don't watch Australian media. I don't watch Canadian media or UK media unless it's like Sky News. I'll tune in to Sky News sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a point
totally
of contention and dispute. I mean, other people are going to argue that you're taking in the wrong media.
Right. I'm just kind of curious what's going on over there sometimes. And so I think that they have been fed a lot of scare tactics. And then when they look at a mother who has daughters, they're like, how could you possibly vote this way? What if a medical emergency pops up? You have no protections. And one lady, although her message, I believe, was intended to make me think, it was misguided and therefore extremely cruel and rude. And she's just spreading rhetoric from Australia. And I mean, I'm sure whatever media they're listening to over there, if they don't like Trump, then they're going to be saying, oh, this and this and this are going to happen. This is kind of like propaganda of the media, right? So I just wanted to clear something up. If you are from Canada, if you are from the US and you are confused on this, or Australia, or wherever you are from.
They're not confused is going to be the rebuttal.
They are confused.
You are confused.
No.
I'm not confused.
They are confused. You can look this up. In the case of a miscarriage, because they're like, what happens if you have a miscarriage? What happens if a woman has a molar pregnancy or an ectopic pregnancy that is not viable? It could kill them. They could lose their fallopian tubes. That baby will never grow into a baby. It can't. in the fallopian tube, right? So, or if you miscarriage, this child has already passed away, you are not entitled to any kind of care and you could die. So one lady said, because our platform is so large and because we have stated how we voted, she hopes that the baby dies later in the pregnancy and that I develop a staph infection for everybody to see on our platform, and that I ultimately die and destroy our family, because what a perfect platform to show my bigotry and then what happened because of my vote.
They want you to serve as the cautionary tale.
They want me to be the pro-choice martyr, essentially.
What a thing to wish upon someone.
Yeah. Yeah, she was thinking that would be like really fantastic with the platform that we built to show that we were wrong, and then you could come on here, you know, and be sad and say, we voted wrong. My wife is dead because of these policies.
That would never happen. And for clarity's sake, let's play it a hypothetical here. Let's say there were some condition that you were, God forbid, stricken with as a result of your pregnancy. Where do you stand on that? I'm not going to speak for you, but where do you stand on that as far as placing a risk upon your own life and well-being when it comes to your unborn child?
You're talking about like the life of the... You're like talking about life.
The life of the mother argument that so many are so passionate about harping on and justifying the actions that are involved with an abortion. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think it's a really tricky situation before the age of viability. I would say before 20 weeks, that's when the youngest known child to ever survive outside the womb was born. And right now there's a baby that's 21 weeks that was born and still fighting and may survive, may not. But before viability, before that age of 20 weeks, it's a hard situation. I'm
talking for you personally, though.
For me personally, it's hard. That's a really hard thing for me to answer, because if I'm being 100% honest, it's very difficult for me to answer because I have 4 other children. Mm-hmm. I would try to save us both at every step that I could possibly take.
Every possible means.
Yeah, every possible means. I guess as soon as baby was viable, then I would opt for an emergency C-section and then hope the baby survives, but I wouldn't take it much past 23, 24 weeks if my life was at risk, because I wouldn't want to leave all of you guys. But I would not abort a baby.
Let's say you didn't have 4 other children. It was just me. What would you do then? Would that change anything for you?
Yes, it would. Yeah. I would try to save the baby. I would put my child first. It's difficult when I have 4 other children because I have to think about them as well. So I guess I would do everything in my power to stay pregnant to at least 24 weeks and try to give us both the best chance. Like, let's say I was diagnosed with cancer and I need an immediate treatment. Yeah. I would wait.
This isn't a cast judgment upon anybody else. Everyone has to make these decisions for themselves. It's just
That's
interesting.
A personal decision. But in all the states, there are exemptions for the life of the mother, even in Idaho. Idaho has some of the strictest abortion laws, but for life of the mother, there are exceptions. For rape and incest, there are exceptions. And that is true of all of our states.
You offered up some clarity when it came to DNCs, because now the abortion label, the actual definition of abortion is trying to be broadened by so many, again, I think in hopes of normalizing what abortion actually is and represents, to where now you have people who are using the DNC argument, who are using the actual birth argument, saying that a healthy, normal birth is also an abortion, when we all very obviously know
stupid.
that is not the case. Clearly, I don't have to explain that to anyone.
That was so dumb. Yeah, there's been some young influencers that are arguing that an abortion just simply means the end of a pregnancy, and that abortions don't always end in the death of a baby. Abortion always ends in the death of a baby, unless a baby is born alive by a botched abortion.
Inadvertently, yes.
But a miscarriage is not an abortion. Even though in medical books it's called a spontaneous abortion, it is not.
That's a medical term, and
abortion.
That's not what we're discussing or talking about when it comes to it in a political, as a political hot button issue.
A C-section is not an abortion.
No.
And a regular birth is not an abortion.
Ridiculous that you even have to say that.
But they were arguing that it was anything that ends a pregnancy, including a C-section or natural birth, is an abortion, and it is not. So let's just get that out of our head. So the other misconception is that, So in the case of life of a mother, I could elect to have an abortion in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the strictest laws. That's up to a mother, and I don't think that's going anywhere. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is DNCs. So let's talk about DNCs because Amber Thurman was the one that really brought this to light. Amber Thurman was the 28-year-old mother from Georgia. In Georgia, you cannot receive an abortion. She wanted to abort her twins. And so she went to another state. She obtained the do-it-yourself abortion pill. And she took the pill. And her twins did end up passing away. Unfortunately for her, she did not pass the twins. So she began getting sick at home. After 10 days of taking the abortion pill, she began vomiting and passing blood. She knew something was obviously very wrong. She arrived to the hospital in Georgia, where abortions are illegal, and she was very sick. She was septic. She had a blood infection throughout her body from the results of having this abortion that did not complete itself.
Mm-hmm.
And they waited 40 hours to give her a DNC.
What is a DNC? Maybe for those out there who aren't familiar with exactly what that is.
A DNC is basically, it will help your body pass everything.
It's an eradication of the now deceased child, unborn child. Yes.
So a retained abortion or a retained miscarriage. Your body should go, oh, this pregnancy is no longer viable. It didn't take, something's wrong, and miscarry it. But that's not always the case.
Right.
And there are a lot of women that will spontaneously abort or miscarriage or have a miscarriage, and they need a DNC to help them pass the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very normal thing. So anyway, she arrived at the hospital. The doctors hesitated, which is a very unfortunate thing for her because she did end up passing away on the operating table 40 hours after seeking help. Had she gotten the DNC right away, would she have survived? There's no medical evidence that she would have because she was already so septic that she was vomiting blood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very, very dangerous. She very likely would have passed away regardless. She waited way too long to go for medical help. But the hesitation did not help, and they have since changed the laws. So the reason they hesitated is because in Georgia, they can't help with abortion. She had obtained an abortion, and that was the second half of it. And they were like, can we do this or not? We have this medical, are we going to get sued? And it's really sad. They should have done the DNC. Absolutely. The twins had already passed away.
It's hindsight.
Yes. Unfortunately, medical stuff happens, but it was not the abortion ban that killed her. It was the fact that she took the abortion pill. The abortion killed her.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, that's a whole thing. So that brought on this whole thing about, well, DNCs are not available to women that miscarry. That is where the misconception is. That's where the untruth is. So this woman from Australia that said, I really hope you don't experience a miscarriage because they will do nothing for you and you could die, is not true. That's misinformation. I wouldn't call it disinformation. I think she's seriously confused. A lot of people here in America think that if a woman miscarriages in Idaho or in Georgia or anywhere where abortion is not legal, that they cannot go to the hospital and receive a DNC, and that is not the case. In the case of a miscarriage, the child has already passed away. A DNC is not considered an abortion procedure, and it is 100% available for any woman that has a miscarriage. So heaven forbid I had a miscarriage. I could go to the hospital. I could receive a DNC. No questions asked. It's a natural miscarriage. So I can't go and request a DNC for an abortion in Idaho. But in the case of a miscarriage, you can. So the argument that this now endangers all pregnant women is incorrect. And I just think it's really, really important to have correct information out there. You can look into your individual state to see what your DNC laws are. But in all 50 states, DNCs, because of miscarriages, are 100% available. So I just wanted to put that out there because it's something that scares women. And they're like, how could you do that? You're pregnant. What if something went wrong? What if you had an ectopic pregnancy? Same thing. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, even if there is a heartbeat, but is ectopic or you have a molar pregnancy, you can still end that pregnancy because it's not viable.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so many, again, so many of the remarks that were directed at us last week were just, I mean, it was a little shocking, but at the same time, I don't know why I should be
Yeah,
surprised.
you can't really be shocked, but I guess I got old because there were so many of them. They're like, I hope your baby dies. I hope that you experience a difficult pregnancy. I hope you
Yeah.
realize.
And again, it's so hard to not focus on that negativity. I mean, we will read, 10 positive comments wishing us well, and then you get that one, and you, of course, it serves as a hang up to
It's
where
a zinger.
you stop scrolling and you get very emotional. At least I do, and you feel this need to respond. But this led to a bigger discussion with us because of what it is that we do, and that level of just being a little turned off by so many of these remarks. Uh, and whether or not that should mean, or we should begin to think about either transitioning the way that we do things when it comes to our involvement with YouTube. Do you ever have thoughts to yourself about how all of this comes to an end? I mean, it's taken on a life of its own. We started doing this, had a very nonchalant attitude about it. Obviously, it wasn't doing, in the very beginning, what it's doing now as far as viewership and all that goes. Do you ever think to yourself about how this ultimately plays out and comes to an end?
Americans have grown tired and frustrated by the stalling economy, inflation, endless wars, and the relentless assault on our values. Thankfully, there are companies like Patriot Mobile that still believe in America and our Constitution.
Melissa and I are very proud to be partnering with Patriot Mobile because they're on the front lines fighting for the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our military and first responder heroes.
So take a stand with us and put America first by switching to Patriot Mobile today. You will get all of the same nationwide coverage as the big providers because Patriot Mobile operates across all 3 major networks. Plus, they back their service with a coverage guarantee.
Their 100% US-based customer service team will find the best plan for your needs. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade.
Just go to patriotmobile.com/NWOS or call 972-PATRIOT. Right now, get a free month when you use our offer code NWOS.
Don't get fooled by other providers pretending to share your values or have the same coverage. They don't and they can't. Join us. Switch to America's only Christian conservative mobile provider, Patriot Mobile. Go to patriotmobile.com/NWOS or call 972-PATRIOT for your free month of service today.
Yeah, I mean, you have to eventually make that decision of like, okay, this ride is over. And I haven't seen people start that transition yet. So we're kind of waiting to see, what do other people do? What do these other channels do? A lot of people are hitting this. Not that I'm waiting for their guidance, but I'm just kind of waiting for people to start phasing out.
We've seen, especially this year, 2024 seemed to be the year of like a lot of really big YouTubers that are stepping away and quote unquote retiring, even some of them being like 30 years old, but they've made their money to their credit. I guess, they made that decision for themselves of getting out. It's a lot to deal with. And I know nobody on the viewership end of things wants to hear that, oh, YouTube is so much, when, you got people out there working 9 to 5s every day doing really difficult tasks. Mm-hmm. I think what makes us different, especially when compared to so many of these young YouTubers, is that you and I lived a very conventional life for a very long time. I mean, I come from a world of working 50 plus hours every week, sometimes 80 hours in a week. We know what that daily grind is. And so we have a frame of reference to compare that to.
Right.
I have always said that I mean, from the very start, I think I've told you, I've said it on a lot of like the old live streams that we used to do, that I would be more so inclined to stop doing this the second it was no longer fun. And I'm not seriously considering that currently, but I will say that things now have become a far greater source of stress than they used to be. And of course, that's going to come along with a lot of the topics that we are openly discussing here. It comes with an increase in viewership because of more people that are viewing your videos and content. Of course, there's always going to be that sliver, that percentage of people who want to do nothing but dig and stab and jab at you based on what it is that they're seeing online. So, I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, it hadn't crossed my mind. Not necessarily quitting, but it's just gotten me to think about how this for you and I and for our family comes to an end. Because if it were just you and I, no big deal. I can take it. We can both take it on the chin and roll with the punches. It is what it is. It's even entertaining sometimes for myself because I'm a sick, twisted individual sometimes. But when it comes to our kids, and we got a number of comments that were not only targeting us, our unborn child and our daughters, but we had people like, hey, I'm unsubscribing from everything it is you guys do, your daughter's channel included. Mm-hmm. Nevaeh caught a lot of flack.
More
and
flack
a lot
than
of
us.
Backlash indirectly. She wasn't even with us in here. And that's been a dramatic change with her as well. As soon as she turned 18 years old, she became fair game, it seemed like, when it comes to the viewing audience and what it is that they had to say to her as far as feedback goes. We had another person contact us, contact the charitable organization that we work with, saying that adamantly, very rudely, very
It was more than rude.
aggressively.
I mean, he called the head of CCC the C word, and effing B, and a bunch of other things. I mean, like unreal.
So this guy contacted them, indicating that he wanted to withdraw his financial donation to our charity efforts based on the things that we have said or done to upset him with regard to the recent election. So not only are we now catching flack, our kids are now catching flack. The charitable organization that we work with is now also catching some crap.
Which is never our intent.
Never
we
our
always
intention.
wanted to just help that organization. We never wanted to bring them drama or horrible phone calls.
So when I say that this has become less fun, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
Which has gotten me thinking about just how all of this eventually plays itself out.
Yeah. Well, and I think we got a little burned out too with just this was a tense time for everybody, not just for people that make content online, but just for people and their families and their personal lives at work. I mean, we've got teachers that are having biased pizza parties, and that's, and I think with social media, we see all this stuff. Like, we never would have known about a lot of this stuff. And now people's rants and raves, people getting on TikTok and making death threats. If you voted for Trump, go kill yourself. Because I'm going to find you and I'm going to do it for you. Just ridiculous people crying and going, I don't want to fall asleep because if I do, I'm going to wake up a slave. Like, you're not. So like they're putting like these ridiculous, it heightens emotions.
But it's more than just that, though. It seems like a bunch of people have become literally unhinged.
But are they actually unhinged, or are they being unhinged for content and to go viral?
Either way, I think making that decision, it means you're unhinged. To make the conscious decision to go, hey, I'm going to be completely over the top here. I'm going to set my phone up, make sure I'm in frame, and then start rambling on incessantly and screaming and shouting at the sky. You are unhinged. And a lot of the remarks that we got, I mean, in my responses to some of these people, I flat out told them, like, you've lost your freaking mind.
Yeah. Like, do you realize what you're saying? Like, really go back and read what you just said to somebody. Like, you really think that your heightened emotions justify what you said or what you wish upon somebody? And do you really wish that upon them? Do you really?
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Or is this you
just
lashing out anonymously?
Right. Like a child does. Yep. So, yeah, it can wear on you. I do think that it's going to simmer down now that things, I mean, all the way through January, it's going to be heightened emotions. Right. And like probably at first.
Oh, it'll persist past that.
I'm sure it will.
Look at Trump's first 4 years in office. But when did it ever subside?
Do you think that it will be as bad as election time?
Election
time was the competition.
I am hopeful that it won't be, but I'm not so sure based on past experience.
I feel like there was just so much on the line for both sides. And it really did become two separate sides, unfortunately, that now I think it will simmer down a little bit because there's nothing on the line as far as like, it's not a competition right now. You're not trying to convince everyone around you. A lot of vloggers and TikTok people and everything, political type channels said that they woke up the morning after the election and they had lost thousands of followers, but they had always been a liberal channel or they had always been a conservative channel. So why were those followers even there?
It's been really interesting. I think in our case, it's maybe that, we have a lot of people who watch us over on the Good Simple Living side of things who don't want to take in anything that we have to do or say here because they just prefer the more filtered, polished product rather than us speaking very openly and transparently about our true, genuine feelings. I think that has exhausted a lot of people, which I get absolutely zero judgment. It's perfectly fine.
Sure. Some people just don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they like to watch our channel because it's escape from the very things that a lot of times we discuss here on the podcast. So yeah, no, to your credit, that's great, and we appreciate it either way. I think a lot of those people, especially on the liberal side of things, I think again, kind of like the mainstream media, I think there was a lot of trust that was lost because you have people who are saying all these really, really heavy-handed things that are false, and that's not in my opinion, just things that are flat out false. And when you undermine someone's trust with intentional disinformation, I think the response, and appropriately so, is to be that I'm no longer watching you, I'm not following you, I'm not listening to anything it is that you have to say any longer.
Yeah, like a lot of people have said, like, we just can't enjoy your content anymore. I can't even watch you make spaghetti.
Yeah, that's been really interesting too.
Yeah.
The fact that people, I guess it warps your perception. And we're okay with that on this end of things because it's, for us, it's about just authenticity. And a lot of people, and again, no judgment, a lot of people want to hold back. And we all do it. I thought your closing to this last video on the good simple living side of things was great, because you tried to lay it out in a way that made sense, I think, to most people when you're operating professionally in any kind of a job. Again, I was in law enforcement. I had to hold back with my opinion on a daily basis. I mean, it was situational to where I had to shut my mouth, bite my tongue. And we all do that, or we all look the other way, or, we don't speak up for the things, for our true convictions, because we're worried about the professional ramifications.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't, like, let's say you work in a school. You can't just say your personal beliefs to your students and to your classroom. You can't do that.
And that's the beautiful thing about this podcast. And that's why I think we both are so passionate about it. But again, to go back, we started having discussions because of so many of these comments about whether or not we should modify and change the way that we are doing things in the handling of our YouTube channel. We both like the podcast because it is, we don't, I don't know how to phrase this. It doesn't interfere with our family life, our day to day. And that's something that I have always, especially I think more so than you, have kind of always struggled with. I never wanted what it is that we have chosen to do for ourselves professionally to infiltrate and take over in any way the sanctity and sanity of our home life.
Yeah.
I've never wanted that to be the case, which is why I love doing this so much. We can step out here. The kids can just keep doing their thing. They don't have to be aware of when the camera's on. Hey, don't make noise, or hey, if you're going to be in here, you're going to be in the shot. So just be mindful of that. It's again, from a viewership standpoint, it's very difficult to understand, but we do have a few examples of why it is that we have potentially mulled over just changing things a bit. And we already have made a lot of those changes because of that reluctance of involving our children in what it is that we do. Since, like we've stated many times here on the podcast, especially, we chose to do this.
Right.
They did not. And given so much of the backlash that we've gotten recently, we've had to kind of reassess and figure out whether or not we want to pull back even more.
Yeah, we've pulled our kids back off the channel a lot more than in the very beginning. One, they were small and they were kind of underfoot. They were always with us. But now that they're getting older and they're doing their own things, people are like, where are the kids? Where are the kids? Where are the kids? And it's like, well, yeah, no, we've kind of pulled them back from the channel because we don't want to film them ever unless they want to be filmed.
Right.
So we have those discussions a lot in our home.
And that hasn't always been the case, especially early on. It was we had, like I said, we had a very nonchalant attitude about things.
Yes.
We didn't give it a lot of thought, quite honestly. And because of that, I think going back a couple of years plus, the kids were on our videos a lot more. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we get a lot of questions about why aren't the kids doing this? Why aren't we seeing the kids more?
Yeah, why aren't the kids helping build the house?
Why isn't Nevaeh doing this? It's like, well, because they have their own lives as well. And we never want to intrude upon any of them. We want to protect our children and protect their right to privacy,
especially during their teen years. Those are very important time to have a lot of privacy. But I think even when they're little, it's kind of like, I think everyone thinks teenagers need privacy, but I think it's teenagers realize that they want privacy and that they're entitled to that.
Right.
And little kids don't. And so it makes the whole family vlog the dynamic with like babies and toddlers and young children. It's like they don't even know that they're being broadcasted. They don't know that they're growing up in front of a camera.
They get it. Like our kids have always gotten it, but I don't think they fully grasp it. No, they don't understand it in its entirety. And I mentioned
how
before,
many people are watching.
Yeah, like when people come up to our kids, and we've never had a negative interaction in person ever. And there's no reason that we would. But it's always interesting to me just to watch the way that they react and respond to strangers walking up to them and knowing their names. We always caution parents when it comes to like, hey, like don't write your kid's name on their backpack, because then strangers can come up to them and acknowledge them by name. And what we're doing, or what we have done in the past, is actually put them on video here on our property, where there should be that expectation of privacy and feeling safe. Not to say that's we've never felt as though our safety was in jeopardy or anything. However, there have been a lot of people. This is a more recent thing, and I think that's because we don't fully know what happens to these kids in the future. Do they come back and say, "Hey, mom and dad, what the hell?"
We're starting to see it.
We are starting to see it.
Yep,
because these kids have now grown up.
Yep, the kids that started YouTube, the first family vlogs, and like now they're growing up, and now some of them are doing their own vlogs and they think it's great and what a great opportunity. Now I have this audience. It's even what Nevaeh has done. She kind of got this YouTube experience and then she went, this is really fun. I like this. I want to do this also. And so she started her own channel. She's very calculated with what she shows. So she does not put her personal life into her vlogs.
She does not. And I don't think people pick up on that, which is fine. We don't need people to know that. She doesn't need people to know that. I'm proud of her for making that decision for herself though. She has explained to Melissa and I that, I have, my own vision about how it is that I want to pursue this and do this. And I think it's the right decision.
Yeah, I think she approached it in a very healthy way. If she has a boyfriend, no one's going to know it or see him.
Yep.
If she goes through a breakup, no one's going to know him or see him. If she gets married, you're not going to see that wedding on YouTube. She's a private person, and I think that's very good that she separates the two.
This is completely subjective, and everyone gets to, again, make these decisions for themselves about how it is that they want to document and display their private life, especially when it comes to the lives of their children. And it's very, very easy to blur those lines.
It is so easy to blur those lines.
I never would have said that prior to us doing this, but it becomes so easy to where you fall into a trap of like, oh, let's record this, let's record this, let's record this. Now we go the other way. Let's make sure we don't record this. Let's preserve this moment for ourselves. Let's not everything is for the viewing audience. Right. Not everything is for public consumption.
Yeah, you have to have
it's so easy to fall into that trap. And I think a lot of good people, I think it's I don't want to be too heavy-handed in saying that it's evil, but I think it is. There's an element of influence that happens internally to where all of a sudden people start making money, focusing on their children in their online content, and it becomes a very sticky situation to where now your own personal income relies upon the involvement of your very young child who is not old enough to consent to having their likeness and their life and their privacy put out there for the world.
Yeah, well. Yes, I think it is all about money because when we all started this, it was very uncharted territory. Not very many people were watching these were like home videos. They were really just simple. Nothing was scripted. There were no big sponsors involved. No one was really making any money. It was just kind of like, but then all of a sudden YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, the rise of mommy vloggers and trad wives and family vlogs, like there's big family vlogs like the Royalty family, the LeBrant family, the Ace family. These are massive family vlogs. And you see everything in these
What is
families.
it you'll do for money, I think, is the big question.
Yeah.
What are you willing to sacrifice to make and maximize the amount of revenue that you're able to generate? Because a lot of these people, these channels that you are, and not to put anyone on blast or like,
Have you seen those families?
They are making an ungodly amount of money.
Millions. Well, look at the houses. The houses have turned into mega mansions.
I was going to say it's exploiting your child for a ridiculous amount of money. And I think there is an element of evil to come along with that when you are making a decision based on this. Money is the root of all evil, as the expression, the old adage goes. I think it's 100% true. And this is a prime example that you can point to of maybe good people being influenced by something that is diabolical.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times it started out innocent enough, and then as the money started coming and as they started realizing what content does the best, content that does the best is medical emergencies for kids, or like even just kids crying, like they're scared about losing a tooth or whatever, and they're bawling and they're crying.
Drama. People like drama.
Kids crying in thumbnails. Kids being like, oh, in thumbnails. But they're literally filming their children in the hospital. Like when you need to just be there as a parent, they're turning it into content because it does so well. There's the monetary value of that is so high that they just can't turn the camera down or turn it off. And that's where those lines blur. Yeah. And that's where it becomes a problem. And now we have this massive pushback on family vlogs.
Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity? And cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI is calling house stealing.
Yeah, house alarms, doorbell cameras, and deadbolts won't work against these thieves because they're not after your stuff. What they're after is your home equity.
If your home title isn't being monitored, scammers can transfer the title of your home into their name using a one-page document they file with the county. They then take out loan claims against it or even sell it behind your back. The scariest part, you won't find out until collections or even foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox. But by then, the damage has been done, and you are left with a financial and a legal nightmare.
The best way to protect your home equity is with triple lock protection from our friends over at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection is 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and God forbid, if the worst happens, restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you.
So when was the last time that you checked on your home's title? If you were like us, the answer is never. And that's exactly what these scammers are counting on. But you can check on the status of your home's title today and make sure that you are not already a victim.
You can get a free title history report and a 30-day free trial of triple lock protection by going to HometitleLock.com and using our promo code NWOS, or click on the link in the description. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code NWOS. So we have a few clips here that we want to review with you guys because it just really does a fantastic job of shining the light on exactly what it is that we're talking about here.
Yeah, like this family vlog is known as like a very wholesome family. They have a lot of kids.
That's the perception anyway.
Yeah, they have a lot of kids and they just sort of show their day-to-day lives. They put out a lot of content. This particular episode just kind of triggered a lot of people because it's a very private moment in a young girl's life.
And I want to say that we're putting this out not to disparage anyone. That's not the case at all. I honestly, it's more so for like educational purposes for everyone out there. If you enjoy YouTube and you enjoy watching channels like ours, along the same lines of ours, people who focus on their personal lives, I guess you'd say, and if they have children, it's so important to not become detached from what it is that you are viewing, because when you are seeing the finished product with music behind it and with strategic editing and cuts, it comes across a certain way. But what you need to realize is what is behind the camera, what is out of frame that you are not seeing, what's happening behind the scenes. It's so important. I personally always watch all any and all content that I watch. I think it's probably because of what we do. I try to think about that aspect of it
and the lives behind
and the lives behind it, because it's when you do see the realities of it, like we are about to view here, it should be cause for concern at the very least.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into this first clip.
Dad, big news over here.
What? Alexa.
Don't cry.
I'm not.
You look like you're gonna cry.
What's wrong?
I started my period.
What?
When I say that things about my life were constantly posted online, I mean like everything. About my day-to-day life, about my school schedules, about my sports, about my mental health, about my health issues. I remember even right after I was hit by a drunk driver, my mom was right up in my face as I was strapped to a stretcher board, taking photos to post on her Facebook page.
Okay, that's clip number one. It gets worse. The next one's worse.
Yeah. So this is where the lines really get blurred. Like we're seeing people posting video of dead relatives and things like that. And it becomes what is content and what is private. A little girl starting her menstrual cycle is private because she doesn't know any better at this stage, or even realize she's in the comfort of her home, even though there's a camera there, but she's not realizing that millions of people are watching that. And when she's an adult, she could get really angry about something like that. And I would say rightfully so.
100%. Yeah. So the things that you're alluding to, you've got people. When our dog passed away, when Kenji passed away, we said we were going to make a very just raw, pretty minimally edited video to put out. We weren't going to slap it with a sponsorship or anything like that, because it wasn't about trying to profit off of something that for our family was a less than happy occurrence and moment in time. And again, it's all about where you draw the line.
Yeah. And
it's a completely subjective thing. It doesn't mean that at the same time you and I can't inform our own personal opinions on what others are doing. Knock us on that if you want, but it becomes, we've seen some pretty egregious examples of that recently, you and I, with some of the things that you're alluding to, with taking an unfortunate, tragic, personal circumstance and slapping a sponsor on that video to where you're now profiting
Video
tremendously.
sponsored by BetterHelp, like
Just
or AG1 or something like that.
Profiting
Yeah.
tremendously. And I have zero problem with people making money. Make money,
Right.
make as much money as you can. Fantastic. But when you, it becomes a slippery slope for me when you start exploiting, even if it's your own misfortune. But it's not always. Again,
I
when it
think
involves
it's
your
different if
kids
it's
and
your
relatives,
own misfortune.
different story.
If it's the death of somebody else, if it's something that your child is going through, medical emergency, an ambulance ride, something like that, there has to be lines there. And I'm not saying legal lines, but I just think we as parents or anybody looking to get into it, or even people watching, like, need to just kind of ask themselves, seeing it makes me question things that we have done. It's made me go, were we careful enough in the beginning? And are we being careful enough now?
Right.
And should we just pull them off the channel altogether?
Yeah, not trying to sit here to say that like we're holier than thou. Not by any means. This is something that has just caused a lot of reflection on our part.
It's more like look in the mirror and like
Right.
I think with social media, there's been a lot less looking in the mirror and a lot more looking out and casting judgment. But it needs to make people kind of reassess their own lives, and us included, and say, okay, have we been respectful enough to our own children's privacy?
Just makes me cringe when some of it has been like shocking, like pretty appalling.
But again, I don't think it's bad people or bad families.
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's just
saying.
when you put money in, when you involve money and you're monetizing your life, like a lifestyle channel or a family channel. When it's a family channel, you're monetizing the lives of your children. If your kids are making up more than 5% of your content, you really have to be honest with yourself, and you really have to draw those personal boundaries.
And for myself, I wouldn't say you can't or shouldn't document these incidents when they occur, but I think there's a tasteful way of doing it, and just being mindful and being respectful of the fact that you are involving people who, again, did not make the decision themselves to put themselves online.
I think showing the death of a family dog, or showing the death of a relative, or, like grandma died.
You shouldn't hijack that and make tens of thousands of dollars.
Right. You shouldn't sensationalize it. But I do think that the content's important, because I think that there are kids and people that go through these things that can find a lot of comfort in it. People will document their cancer journey. And I think that's very important content, because it gives people inspiration. It lets people know that they're not alone.
And that's why I say I'm not saying like you shouldn't touch these topics, but I think there's just a tasteful way of approaching it is all I'm saying.
And be very, very sensitive to your children's feelings. We have a very strict rule that if our children are upset or crying, we do not film them. We do not film our children crying.
Yeah, making mistakes, getting into trouble.
Yes, reprimanding our children. If this is a learning opportunity, or something happens where we need to correct them or parent them, you're never going to see that on film.
Nope. You want to set up this next clip? This is the one that I haven't even watched this through its entirety, but just from what I saw, it was incredibly disturbing.
So a little background on this. Okay, this gal, their family dog passed away.
Oh, how perfect.
Just as our family dog passed away. And she is making content about that. And she accidentally uploaded this. And then it was up for quite a few hours, and people screen recorded it before she realized that she had hit upload. So she was maybe on the Instagram app or whatever, and she was making the video, and she hit upload instead of save. Because when you save it, you can then edit it and everything like that. So she was just trying to get video photos, I think probably for a thumbnail.
It's for a thumbnail, clearly.
And she accidentally uploaded the video, but it shows a little insight into the lengths that some people, not all people, that some people may go to.
Not all, but a lot. Too many. Yeah. So here we go.
Jordan Cheyenne, who was a lifestyle YouTuber who infamously forgot to trim a portion of her video out, where after her son's dog passed away, she was trying to make that into content for her channel. She accidentally uploaded the YouTube video footage in which she was forcing him to cry for the camera.
So if you could pray for us, we appreciate it. I love you guys. Bye. Come here. Come closer for the video. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Put your head right here. Come closer. Closer, down. Put your head down here. Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm actually seriously crying.
No, I know, but go like this for the video. Go like this. Put one hand up. Go like this. No, go like this. Put your hand like this. But let them see your mouth. Let them see your mouth.
No, Mom, I'm actually crying.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
I'm actually crying.
I know. Look at me. Look at me. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Okay. It's okay. It's okay.
That literally makes me emotional to watch. Like, I want to go hug that kid. Maybe it's just because I'm 17 weeks pregnant right now, but
it's 'cause
like
it's gross.
that
It's
makes me so sad. That's like the worst example of parenting I think I've ever seen. But when you see it, all you see is the thumbnail.
Right. It's
that makes me so mad.
again, I'm not trying to, belittle this woman. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I just think she's somebody who's been sucked into the trap of taking your own personal misfortune, exploiting her child. I mean, 100%.
Her son will always remember that.
100%. Yeah.
Like,
what's more important, the paycheck that you're going to get that month for this unfortunate circumstance, or the long-term health and well-being of your own child?
I was trying a new concealer today and I just totally messed. That like, it's just crazy. We want to be totally honest. In the beginning of our channel, I remember having we did a lot of little skits, a lot of funny skits.
Yeah.
And we stopped doing those, and people are like, why did you stop doing the funny skits? They were so funny.
Well, it's for a number of reasons, but in part.
Yeah. In a big part of why I didn't want to do them anymore is because a lot of them involved the kids and it involved them acting. And it was clear that it was a skit and it was clear that it was comical and whatever. But I didn't like ever having to say, wait, say this again or do this again, or, okay, guys, let's do it one more time. It wasn't, I just didn't like it. And I didn't think that they thought it was fun. And so we stopped doing it. That's why we don't do the funny little skits anymore, because I don't want our children to be acting for YouTube.
Yeah.
For content or for anything. So
I mean, I want to say that we've always been as tasteful as possible. And I think we have, but have there been moments that I'm not personally proud of? Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Honestly,
yeah.
if I'm speaking completely honestly.
But we have never done that.
Never.
We have never done that.
Anything to these lengths.
Oh my gosh.
And like I said, just putting this out there so that you, from a consumer and on the consumer viewership end of things, you understand what it is you're viewing, and you understand things for just what they are when it comes to social media in particular, and where people are willing or are unwilling to draw those boundary lines.
Well, and I think viewers also need to be very sensitive to when you do see a channel dialing it back or not showing their children very much. Or so there's channels out there from reality stars or ex-reality stars where they decided, hey, we're going to continue doing content, but we're not going to show our children's faces, and they will blur their kids' faces, or they will only show the back of their heads. And people get really weirded out by that. Mm-hmm. Like they have some kind of ownership over kids. Right. Well, if I'm going to watch this, I want to see their faces.
We'll discuss this once this clip is over as well. But one of the comments that made me slightly uncomfortable this past week as well was somebody who said, hey, screw you guys, I'm unsubscribing, which is too bad because I was really looking forward to watching that baby grow up. We'll dive into that here in a second. Let Yuna set up this last clip. You guys don't need us to tell you that the world has been a really crazy place as of late, which is one of the many reasons that we're so passionate about keeping an emergency food supply kit from My Patriot Supply in our home.
Yeah, storing food in your home is such an important thing to do for peace of mind and reassurance that you're able to actually take care of yourself and your family, which explains why so many people are preparing now. Right now, you can get ready too with a 3-month emergency food supply kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious foods like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, and mushroom rice pilaf.
And the entire kit offers over 2,000 calories every day, and the food lasts up to 25 years because who knows what things will look like then, but if and when that day comes, you'll be ready.
So now I know it sounds weird, but emergency food actually makes a really great and unique Christmas gift. Over the past 10 years or so, I have been buying everyone on my list an emergency food pail every holiday season. And now you can too with My Patriot Supply.
Just go to preparewithnwos.com now to order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. That's preparewithnwos.com.
So this is Ruby Frankie. This is a very viral story. This went viral about maybe a year ago.
Another very extreme example.
So Ruby Frankie was kind of the lead, the mom-ager of 8-passenger van, which was another very, very popular family vlog. And I don't know why anyone ever watched this channel in the first place, because it was always really disturbing to me. I remember every once in a while a clip would come up and it was like not a nice mother, but she basically filmed every aspect Monday through Friday. I want to say Monday, it was 7 days a week. They filmed every aspect of their children's lives, from the time that they walked out of their room, breakfast, making dinner, everything, chores, discipline, getting grounded, sporting events, every aspect of their 6 children's lives were filmed and put up for consumption. And the kids, now that they're older, are saying not only were we being abused in so many ways, and then eventually it became this horrible abuse case. I mean, Ruby Frankie is now in prison for abusing and almost killing 2 of her children. And it serves as an example of just no boundaries at all.
Yeah.
And so now her daughter, Sherry Frankie, is now she's in Utah, and she's trying to get legislation passed to protect minors on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, because she's like, they're not being compensated, they're just being completely overly filmed. She doesn't want minors on the internet at all.
Yeah, and
for monetization purposes.
I came from her background, I fully understand where she's coming from.
Yes, so she's on the extreme end of things, but her life was extreme. And so this is a clip from their family
Only
channel.
say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that. I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm going to cut its head off.
Grandma will be so mad.
She's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
She's talking about withholding food
girl.
from her, 4-year-old child?
She was in kindergarten, and she was very big on personal responsibility, and she harped on that a lot. And so her kindergarten little girl, the one whose animal she was threatening to cut its head off of, which she would do, she would like kill their stuffed animals as punishment.
Nice.
Yeah. She forgot her lunch, and she was saying, well, she's 5 years old. She goes to school now. The fact that she forgot her lunch, she will remain hungry today. So the school called her and said, hey, can you bring her a lunch, because she forgot her lunchbox? And she was like, I'm not bringing her a lunch. And then she was having a fit because she was worried that the school is going to provide her daughter food. She thought the proper punishment, I guess, for forgetting her lunchbox was to go hungry until she got home, because then it would teach her to never forget her lunch again. And it was all about like tough love. And so a lot of people really embrace the idea, because they're like, parents are so lax these days, and helicopter parents, and every parent would just rush and bring them their lunch. And then what do they learn?
What's more disturbing, the actual act, or the fact that people viewing it through this very distorted optic, again, highly edited content, are embracing it and celebrating those actions?
Well, a lot of people turned her into CPS for all kinds of stuff.
But at the same time, there were people who were touting her as somebody that should serve as an example to other parents.
Yeah, and it turned out once the other 4 kids basically got away, they had that little girl who was like maybe 9 at the time. This was last year. And then a little boy who was, I believe, 12. And she ended up, there's so much to the story. They're actually going to be making a movie about this family's whole journey. Yeah, I know.
Further documentation.
How perfect.
For somebody else's profit this time.
Yeah, how perfect for the children, right? So they're going to be making a movie and a documentary about this. And the daughter, Sherry, she wrote a book. And her tell-all book is coming out in January. And even though we are a lifestyle channel and our children are on our channel, I can't even really fault her for the way that she feels and the legislation that she passed or wants passed.
Get passed, yeah.
And even if it became like a nationwide ban and they were like, no more minors on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, nothing, if it's monetized. You cannot put ads on it at all. You cannot have sponsors on anything with kids. I'd be like,
Done.
okay.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So those serve again as they're very extreme examples, but it's a good illustration of what it is that we were discussing here. So to go back for a second with this comment that we got from a viewer saying that, hey, I'm unsubscribing. Screw you guys. I was looking forward to seeing that baby grow up. Our baby, our child, our children they're our children. They are not content.
Right.
Do we include them? Sure, because like Melissa said,
They're part of our life.
They're part of our life. We're very proud of them. We love having all of the memories documented, but they will never ever be a point of emphasis. There are things that do well with the audience out there. Kids being probably number one. Who doesn't love a kid, right? Like the old cereal commercials back in the day, Mikey and all that, right? Everybody
loves it.
Everyone loves seeing a cute kid.
I like watching shows with kids and everything, but I think it's different when it's acting. But I mean, you got to be careful with child stars too. I mean, look at all the drama coming out around all the Disney stars, and kids are huge money. Look at Home Alone. It's like the most popular children's movie.
When you're talking about young, malleable people who are in their developmental years, we don't know.
They're funny and they're cute and they do quirky
but we also don't know what the impact of having cameras and microphones shoved in your face constantly. We don't necessarily know what that does. With the sample size that we have to operate with currently, I think it's safe to say that it's probably more of a detriment than a good thing. I mean, we've spoke to Candace Cameron recently, and she explained, I had a great experience. She's a very well-adjusted, successful adult human being. So of course there are going to be exceptions to it.
She was very protected, and not all kids are.
I think for the most part, we can all agree that it's probably not great for a child to experience any of that. And when you have parents who are doing it to their own children, it makes it all the more gross.
Yeah. It's a hard thing. So we are currently planning on doing a home birth. We had a home birth with Eli. It was a great experience. People have their own opinion on that, but that's the current plan. We are not filming the birth. Sorry, guys.
Or if we do, it won't be posted as a birth video.
No.
Again,
it'll be
no
for
judgment
ourselves.
to anyone else out there who has done that. It's just this is the decision that we are making for ourselves.
Yeah, and we just wanted to kind of put that out there now so that people aren't expecting like a full birth vlog and everything. When the Truman Show came out, and it was like, this baby was born on camera for everyone to watch, and then they show him learning to walk and eating his first food, and it was like that movie was fictional, and people were like, "Rrr." Now there's all of these examples of the Truman Show, essentially, where people are like watching people from the moment of birth, literally their moment of birth, their first cry and everything, growing up. And so we really had to reevaluate, because at first I was like, should we film the birth? Should we hire a videographer? And then I thought, no, I'm not going to. I don't want to show his or her birth, because he or she may not want that. They may not, when they're 20, they might go,
100%.
My birth online, mom, and you put a sponsor on it. What's wrong with you?
For me, and I'm more hardcore about these things.
Yeah, you were like,
than you are. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And there is the aspect of like, hey, this baby doesn't necessarily want to be online forever. But for, again, it's, I don't want to be experiencing this major life event through the lens of a camera. I don't want to be, I don't want to be conscious of a camera being in the room. I just want to be there with you, checked in, present.
And those are the moments.
For that reason, I'm with you. I really don't want to do that. Will this child be seen on our videos as it grows up? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can almost all but guarantee it, but it's never going to be the focus, just as none of our other 4 children have ever been the focus.
Eli's life has been a little more in focus with his birthdays, because he's really funny about having a birthday video. This is something that he always wants. He's like, I want my birthday video. He loves having it, and he'll watch it like 100 times.
But again, so where's that line drawn?
I know. And there's been things like, I think it was his 6th birthday. It was one of the birthdays where I was filming him blowing his candles out, and I thought I missed it, because I was filming it and I was looking at it. And I mean, there's so many dads. My dad watched us grow up through a camcorder, because that was like when camcorders were a thing.
Yeah, but the purpose of doing it was different.
So then I didn't want to film a lot of that stuff. We've never filmed Christmas morning or things like that because I just want to sit there and enjoy it. I don't want to think about, do I have this shot? Do I have that shot? Do we
Again,
have this
early on,
reaction?
it was much different. We've gotten better and refined this process for ourselves over time to where now, like if we do show something from a birthday, like Eli's last birthday, it was great. We took shots of going out to dinner and him doing candles and all that. But we had a separate celebration and blowing out of the candles without any cameras.
Yep. He had 3 cakes because we had one just for ourselves. Then they brought him one at the restaurant.
And the same thing is true for like the times when we've made like Christmas special videos and stuff like that.
Right.
We're usually recording those in like early December.
It's not Christmas.
It's not actually Christmas, but we'll have a little mini celebration for the sake of like grabbing shots of a video concept that we want to put together. And then when it comes to Christmas morning, holidays, all of that, cameras get put away. And we just get to live life and experience things and make memories as we should.
Well, people are also
using
like,
our brains.
Your children have no friends. How come we never see friends? How come no one's over? How come your grandparents are ever? My parents are coming today. They're going to be here in like 2 hours. We hurried and did a bunch of work and editing and everything because when grandma and grandpa come, it's just family time. We're not filming that.
Yeah.
It's why we don't film holidays because the grandparents are there and the kids are out and they're enjoying their holiday, and that's not something that we choose to make content. Other people may choose to make it content. And also, I do want to say about the birth thing, if you choose to put your birth online, that is 100% a personal decision for your family, and I think everyone should make those decisions. It's just how after our discussion, what we decided to do.
Yeah, it's totally
zero judgment
subjective.
on a birth video.
And here is the reason that it becomes so difficult to make these types of decisions. Can I mention that we are also planning to take some time off?
Yeah.
Following the birth.
Yeah.
So Melissa and I have been having discussions about what to do once baby is here. And I told you that I want to take time off because we get stuck in the cycle. We work 7 days a week. Again, I know nobody wants to hear that because it's YouTube, but we work 7 days a week, ridiculous hours. It's never ending. It's nonstop and it's not healthy. And so I don't want to interfere with taking in that time to bond collectively as a family with each other, with our baby, with our new sibling, with our new child.
Yeah, so maybe follow us over on Instagram or Facebook because we'll let everyone know when baby arrives and then everyone's healthy because I don't like that whole like making everyone wait. And
no, and that's not fair to
the audience.
No, we'll definitely keep you guys updated. We're going to get off the treadmill of making, a podcast episode every week and making a good simple living video every week for a few weeks at least. And I don't know. I think again, it's difficult to make that decision because we know that it will affect us in the YouTube algorithm
Yes,
space.
you're not going to come back and have the views. You're going to lose people. You're going to anger people.
We're gonna upset some people with that decision. But ultimately, again, for us, it's an evaluation of like what ultimately really matters. Where do your priorities lie, and where do you draw those lines? And for us, in this case, I hope many of you will be supportive of the fact that that's the decision that we're making for ourselves.
Yeah, we just need time to like rest and relax and bond and enjoy and not think about anything. But we promise we will put out updates. We promise we will put out a few photos. We will let everyone know that everyone is doing great.
Because we do appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Genuinely, sincerely.
So it's not like a clickbait thing or a leave you hanging thing or anything like that so that when we come back, you'll watch. We just need some maternity leave, like any job. It's just gotta. And so.
It's FMLA.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. It's not going to be like Saturday, you're going to get that birth vlog. And the next Saturday, you're going to get the first week vlog. And it's just not going to be like that. We'll
keep you guys updated. In a way that just works for us. And hopefully, like I said, everyone can be respectful of that.
It's like in hearing these teenagers, early 20s kids coming out on the other end of it, we're trying to be mindful moving forward with family content. Right. We have family videos. Like when we travel or we do like a family travel vacation or something, we'll put out like a really family heavy video where it's like the kids and we're enjoying all this new stuff. But for the most parts, our kids are like 5%, maybe.
If even.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even see the kids or you just see them in the background. And then, people want to see the kids more. But like, we're just asking, please understand why we've dialed that back. And that we're just trying to be sensitive with them. These are conversations we have with the kids all the time. The little kids are still like, no, it's great.
Yeah.
But we are like, I don't know if you understand exactly what that is. So we're having these conversations with Nevaeh a lot because she is now at the age of these girls.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, how do you feel? What could we have done differently? And she's been really honest with us. She hasn't really said that we like went overboard or anything like that. And it is what she's chosen to do. So obviously she feels positively about the whole thing. But she did choose to go into it showing a little less personal stuff. But I think that she will have some personal things if she feels like it's beneficial and it will help somebody.
Yeah, again, it's all in, does it come from a good place? And are you justifying it in any way? Because it's so easy to do.
It's easy to justify it. But I do think that positive family content is important.
Agreed.
Because there are people that didn't grow up in a good family unit, or they're young and they're just getting married and they're kind of curious about different things and the reality of raising children. And I think that kind of content is important. Like, this is a conversation we had with Willie Robertson, who from Duck Dynasty, and he talks about having his children kind of grow up on Duck Dynasty and why he thought that was such important content, but how he had boundaries, how he didn't blur the lines, and how he protected his children. And they do feel very positive about their experience.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of being sensitive, respectful of the family's choices, respectful of speaking to the children, what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with, and then not overdoing it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Always an important and interesting discussion to have. Hopefully you guys feel the same way, because I don't know how
Maybe this is
intriguing
just
or
a
interesting this
discussion that we
is.
have in our living room. We're like, this is good.
Yeah. Here,
But
this is some behind the scenes of the
other
types of
people are
things
like, what are
we
you
talk
talking
about. And do we maybe overthink some of these things? Sure, but I'd rather
You
err.
should.
I'd rather err on the side of caution, because I'm sure some of you watching this will probably be like, way to overthink it. Like, just enjoy yourself.
But
But
it's your children.
yeah, when
Like,
it comes to your family, I think you should always err on the side of caution.
no one wants to be the focus of their kids' therapy session 30 years later. Like, remember that YouTube platform? Oh, they like,
Yeah, that's our worry and concern.
yeah, they would just, well, I mean, it's not our only worry and concern, but man, that would just be really terrible.
Yeah.
So,
All right, let's wind this one down. Mom, anything else from you?
no, I don't think so. Again, I'm just really hungry. Did you hear my stomach growling? I heard it in my microphone.
Yeah, I'm hungry, Jim. Let's go eat. You keep finishing, every episode off with that. Now I'm hungry.
I have to eat every hour. Then we're past due.
All right, love and appreciate you guys as always. We will see you next week here on New World Old Soul.
Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows.